When thinking about Monster Hunter, one could consider the greatsword a mascot weapon for the series above all else. Hunters know the iconic image of the Jawblade or the Dragon Agato making its debut back in Monster Hunter 1. And let's be honest, we're all mentally 13 years old, so seeing a sword the size of a building smash into a big red thing that spews fire is sick as hell, right? Never mind the person behind it who's clearly compensating for something. The Boomer of Weapons greatsword has had slow but impactful changes to its identity throughout the mainline series, gaining the ability to charge its strikes. The main damage is applied into meaningful hits, with purpose and precision being the name of the game. So without further ado, and since a lot of you have wanted me to cover some other weapons since the Switch Axe video, we're going to take a look at the way the greatsword played in Monster Hunter Frontier. My name is Cirrus Symmetry, let's get started. The poster child of Monster Hunter was blessed with a very humble moveset at the beginning, abiding by the rule of slow moving, hard hitting. It could charge an overhead attack, spin to the right, uppercut to the left, cha-cha real smooth, and that's really about it. Like all other weapons, it gained a few options over the years, such as a second charge attack and a forward slap that does KO, and then of course a pretty large overhaul in 5th gen, but it's this baseline that Frontier took for their own. The first of the styles was Earth style at the start of the MMO. You could unsheath into an overhead attack and, as mentioned before, charge this for a powerful hit. In fact, there's really only 2 changes worth mentioning from mainline. You see, if you unsheathed your weapon without sprinting, you'd be able to pull into the spinning attack. If I'm being honest, the only real utility this served was for multi-monster quests, being able to clear out a large pack of Velociprey, for instance. The second, however, was being able to combo into your attacks much faster out of a roll. As you can see here, you can simply go right into an overhead charge without so much as a wind up in sight. Lovely. But we're not here to dwell on the boring stuff, so let's move on, and here's where it gets a bit weird. You see, Heaven and Storm styles were introduced next, and it's honestly baffling what the damn point of them were. In my time with GS in Frontier, I could still never figure it out. Heaven got rid of the charges, an odd choice, but introduced a new guard that was activated by pressing the kick button. You'd slowly raise the weapon, block an incoming attack, and then follow up with a side slash. Okay, pretty nice, but then you move on to Storm. Storm also has this. It's got this fancy little ballerina guard, but then spits in the face of Heaven and adds back in a charge attack. And it doesn't stop there. You see, this isn't any old charge attack. This is activated from the uppercut input, and can now be charged to level 4. Legitimately, when I was learning the weapon way back when, for the life of me I couldn't figure out how this was any sort of sane choice whatsoever. Storm was the way to go for sure. This new charge level hit hard. So what happened next? There was a small, understandable change to GS throughout the multitude of updates this huge game had, and with the Frontier Z patch around the corner, what was coming up next? Well, it wasn't much really, just a complete overhaul of how the weapon played, not to mention damage output capable of forming more than a few new continents. Introducing Extreme Style. Now before we, and by we I mean I, get carried away, let's go over the basics. You did retain the level 4 charge from Storm and the other moves from the basic Earth style. Yeah, that's about where the similarities end. You can run with the bastard now. Unsheath your weapon, double tap the movement stick, and sprint. The moving speed wasn't much in comparison about that of the standard speed of the sword and shield, but you forget that this is a great sword you're wielding. It made a world of difference, although the next edition was the real game changer. They gave the thing a parry, an honest-to-God, damage-avoiding, instantaneous parry. You all remember Valor Longsword? You know, press right trigger, ignore attack, do damage, win with one button? Yeah, that. Cut out and pasted onto a sodding greatsword. Hand on my heart, this was the game changer, for the sheer fact of what it followed up into. An over-the-head slam with a whopping 200 motion value. Block, slam, block, slam, block, slam. A simple cycle of power and invincibility. The ultimate reactive playstyle. Yes, it was very simple, yes this could get mundane, but the sheer power of the thing was a sight to behold. And as a final bonus, you got a lovely little surprise after 3 total guards. Introducing the Shining Sword Slash. By pressing the kick button after the aforementioned guards, you would slam the sword down and, well, there's no other word for it, blend the monster to death. This would lock you in place, meaning that to get the most out of the move you really had to know your openings, but my god it was satisfying. Extreme GS really was a man's weapon, a caveman's weapon if anything. So that's the rundown on the weapon itself. Now I'd just like to talk about a couple skills that were run on Extreme Greatsword that had some lovely synergy, starting with Combat Supremacy. Combat Supremacy gave you a 20% boost to Raw. Yeah, it's not anywhere near the 50% boost of Heroics, but you still have to remember that this was in a game with about 800 true Raw on weapons, and that's before combat buffs. The downside? Constant stamina drain. With your weapon out, your stamina reduces at the usual sprinting rate, and won't regenerate until you sheath. Remember earlier when I said about how you just block from sheath and slam? Yeah, this is one of the reasons why. Complete no-brainer. Next up, a skill I'd love to see in mainline, Charged Attack Up. Much like how Focus would increase the speed of attacks that charge up, this skill increased the power of said attacks. Would be a lovely addition to a lot of weapons in mainline. And finally, a combo skill. Going by the name of Fortification, this skill gave a multitude of stamina and movement based benefits, but the real meat of the matter was the fact that it included Guard and Guard Up. This opened up a whole world of responses for Extreme Greatsword. Remember, the more you can block, the more you can slam. Honestly, Extreme was just a crazy experience. Was it the most convoluted weapon? Far from it. Was it a dumb, simple, meat-headed option that you could just breeze through a lot of fights with? Absolutely. I mean, look at the size of this sword. You're telling me you don't want to go swinging this one around? You'll love to see it. Anyways, that's me talking about Frontier Greatsword. I really enjoyed the weapon. It was just a fantastic, fantastic option to use, and I hope you all enjoyed the video, everybody. I'll see you all very soon.